This is the last I'm going to talk about the Kennedy Carter Caitlin Clark incident. I promise. Because it is time for all of us to move forward, the entire world to move forward. But the commissioner of the NBA was asked about it before the NBA Finals. Adam Silver spoke on that, was asked the direct question, obviously, because of so much of the discourse this week. And I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was worth sharing with you. Silver talked for a while on the topic, so I'll play it for you, and then we'll react.
You mentioned the WNBA in your initial comments. I was curious for your reaction to the hard foul Caitlin Clark took last week, and then more broadly, if you have any concerns about her first couple weeks in the league.
I'll leave the specific question about the foul. My colleague, Commissioner Engelbert. I other than as a fan, obviously, it's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments, especially for heralded rookies. But of course, I want to see Caitlin treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player. I think it may be lost on some people who are new to basketball in terms of a little bit of the controversy in the WNBA. What an incredible talent she is, 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league. I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA. It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly, we're seeing an acceleration of it with Caitlin, but many individual stars who came in this league in the last several years, and then, again, I've been with the league for a long time, so I was there the early days with Val Ackerman, and of course David Stern when we developed the WNBA. And in some ways, to me, this was a long time coming. If you went back and looked at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't think it would be such a long timeline to kind of break into the sort of popularity we're seeing now. So ultimately, I don't want to make too big an issue about one particular player, one particular call, but I think the burgeoning rivalries in professional basketball, you see rivalries obviously among clubs, but also among individual players too. And I think that can be ultimately good for the sport. But at the same time, there's also some larger societal issues at work. There's no doubt. I don't want to hide from that. Some having to do with race, and they're very apparent. And I think, though, sports historically has been a platform to people to talk directly about these issues. I don't think we should hide from them. And I think the players are happy to engage on these issues. They're sophisticated people. But ultimately, let the public join part of those conversations as well. And of course, the media will weigh in.
That was a good answer, all in all, from Adam Silver, I believe. He's a politician, right, in a sense, in his role. He doesn't want to upset anybody or ruffle any feathers. And I think he got through it while making some good points, while also probably not pissing off anyone too much who's on whatever side of the argument they may be on. There were 2 quotes from there that will probably be aggregated the most. One is welcome to the league moment. And that's something I've talked about a little bit here too. As much as it was discussed, I think it was blown out of proportion how big a deal it was. Not that it was, again, the refs have to, I don't want to rehash it. I'm done. But overall, that's what Adam Silver was trying to say. But I think most importantly, what he actually says there is, Caitlin Clark can handle it. And that's what I've been saying. We haven't heard Clark complain other than when she said she got hammered or whatnot, and there haven't been calls. She has not complained. And that is an important thing to note. Now, I mentioned at the top, it is time for Caitlin and the Fever to turn the page. And I do think, here's the thing about it that's the best, right? It will never be harder than it is right now for Caitlin Clark. That's the hardest it is ever going to be. And the Fever have a real opportunity with their schedule lightening up, with the level of their opponents lightening up. They get to see the Mystics next, who are 0-10 going into this game and off of a back-to-back, having played the Sky. If there was ever a chance for a breakout moment, a breakout performance from Caitlin Clark, it is now, right? It is now against that team. And they've had a chance to practice. They've had a chance to rest a bit. Hopefully her legs are fresh. You know, that I've talked about it a bunch of times, but when you when I went to the Liberty game with my daughter, I knew going in that they were going to struggle in that game, but I went to see it anyway. And you know, you're seeing Caitlin Clark everywhere. Of course, you're hearing her talked about everywhere. She's even in downtown Chicago. As much focus as there is on that rivalry, even Adam Silver just referenced it. Look at this. Wilson basketball and the new partnership has this going on in downtown Chicago. So you know, that just shows you how ubiquitous Caitlin has been, and how much this is indeed good for the WNBA and the league as a whole. And I think you will see it all dial down a bit, right? Like, everybody can't be so hyped to go against Caitlin Clark forever. It's not going to be new forever. And you know, the rest of the team, hopefully on the Fever side, and her start to develop a little bit more of a rapport. She starts to figure out how to counter some of this stuff. You know, Gino Auriemma was on with Dan Patrick, and as much as he defended Caitlin about being targeted, he sort of took a shot at her fans about calling them delusional fans who expected her to come into the WNBA and dominate immediately. The kid was set up for failure from the beginning, and he discussed how he felt her skill set wasn't quite as equipped to deal with the physicality. But, you know, I think Caitlin's been just fine. I keep saying that over and over again. And the most impressive part about her to me is she seems to be able to have her blinders on and just push forward and keep the focus on basketball, not allow this stuff to break her down, break her spirit down, or anything like that. And eventually, one of those games is coming. One of those games is coming where the shots fall. She starts to get real confident. And then, you know, she uses that to break down her opponent. All the rest of the refining of the game is probably going to have to wait until the offseason. But she's going to have that breakout game coming up here soon, if not against the Mystics. I mean, really, it should happen against the Mystics. But when you factor in the schedule lightening up from both a you know, number of game standpoint and the opponent's standpoint, it's time for Caitlin Clark to really break out. She's already had a tremendous rookie season, all things considered, but she's gone through the roughest patch she's ever going to face in her career. It's already happened.